We go 1 of 3 on best prop bets for last week's card as Song Yadong comes through with the knockout in the 5th round of their main event matchup. I thought it would come a little bit earlier, but regardless, he still ends up getting the KO, and we're able to cash that ticket, leaving us at roughly around that break-even spot as the other 2 legs did not come through with Egger inside the distance and Martin Buday inside the distance. If that Buday fight had gone maybe a minute longer, he probably could have mustered up a finish, but it is what it is. Thankfully, we hit the plus money KO spot on Yadong, and yeah, I'm happy with that. Hopefully we can get at least 2 of them this weekend, as I got another 3 for you guys for UFC 288. Reminder that the MMA Fight Archive dropped earlier this week. By the time that this gets posted, we might only have 7 or 8 spots open for the Pioneer tier, which is a tier that I dropped for the launch of the MMA Fight Archive, which saves you 25% on the lifetime of the subscription. If you are a researcher, predictor, capper, analyst, and you like doing your own research and homework for all of these upcoming fights, not just the UFC, but all of, I have 12 major promotions that I have a focus on. The goal is to eventually cover every fighter that's ever competed since 2022. That will be a long work in progress, obviously, but I'm focusing on the biggest regional promotions and the biggest promotions in the world. We have close to 1,100 profiles already on there. Yeah, your one-stop shop for all the research that you like to do for these upcoming events. I got you covered. MMA Fight Archive, again, save yourself 25% by signing up. It's only available to the first 25 people that sign up, and we've already had about 15 or 16 people sign up, so make sure you guys take full advantage of that. Also, if you're looking for Cage Warriors action or predictions and breakdowns, I got you guys covered. That card goes down Saturday afternoon. All the breakdowns will be posted on the Patreon, link in the description below. 14 fights for you guys, a little bit of an appetizer for UFC 288, so make sure you guys check it out. Again, appreciate all the love and support as always. All right, let's get into the 3 best prop bets, and it's going to be a trio of KOs that I'm hoping comes through for us in the UFC 288 card. The first of which is going to be the second fight of the night. I believe it's going to be a barn burner between Joseph Holmes and Claudio Ribeiro, and I'm going to go with the Brazilian here, who fell short in his UFC debut against Abdul Razak Al Hassan in January, but I think that this is a far better fight for him in terms of taking advantage of the very low level Joseph Holmes. A lot of people kind of saw through his game and saw that he wasn't ready for the UFC game, especially when he took on Jamie Pickett in his UFC debut and ended up coming up short. He obviously beat Alan Amedovski, as pretty much anybody has been able to do so inside the UFC, and then ended up coming up short in his last fight against formidable opponent Jun Young Park. But I believe that Claudio Ribeiro will be too fast, too powerful, and too explosive for Joseph Holmes, who has some own knockout power, which we have to give him credit for. But I think he's going to struggle with that, that flashy style that Ribeiro likes to implement from distance. And I think one of those is going to eventually land on Joseph Holmes here and put him out. So we're going to go Ribeiro by KO. It's at -140, which again, I don't normally like to pay a favorite money or chalk money on a specific prop like that, but I expect this fight to be a barn burner, and I expect the Brazilian to be the one that comes out victorious. The second prop that I have for you guys is actually going to be in the heavyweight fight between Parker Porter and Braxton Smith. Debuting Braxton Smith has finished all of his opponents in the first round. He's on a 5-fight winning streak, and that was after taking an extended layoff after having his professional MMA debut back in 2014 against then debuting Chase Sherman. But he's been able to knock off and finish every single one of his opponents since he returned back. I believe it was in 2021. I could be off on that number, but it hasn't been that long since he's returned. This man is a fire hydrant. Remember Rousimar Palhares? Well, he makes Rousimar Palhares look like a pencil, pretty much. This guy is jacked. 5'11", comes in around that 260 range, walks around 270. Absolute tank of a man with a tremendous amount of power. There's no way this man makes it past the 3-minute mark if he doesn't end up getting the knockout. But I am going to go with the knockout prop here, which sits around that plus 165 range. This guy has big power. I think he'll have the speed advantage in the early goings of this matchup. I think that will allow him to land on Parker Porter and put him out cold, similar to what Justin Tafa was able to do to Parker a couple months back. So give me Braxton Smith by knockout as the second best prop of the night. And I said I got a trio of KOs for you guys, right? So we got another one here in the co-main event. I'm going to go with Bilal Muhammad via TKO or KO. That line currently sitting at plus 475. His inside the distance is plus 400, but do we really expect him to get a submission here over Gilbert Burns? Maybe from exhaustion, where he'll be able to lock up something, but I think the majority of his win success comes from either decision or overwhelming him with big strikes like he did against Sean Brady and get him out of there via TKO. That's exactly what I'm expecting from him here. I've long been saying that Gilbert Burns has a cardio issue, but he hasn't faced anybody that has been able to exploit it since Kamaru Usman, and I think that's what we have here in Bilal Muhammad. As long as he can stay safe in the early goings of this matchup, I expect him to take over in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round and eventually find a finish within those last 3 rounds. You can be specific with the round 3 by KO. I believe it's plus 2200, plus 2800 for round 4 by KO, or round 5 plus 3500. So you can sprinkle those props as well if you'd like, but I'm just going to go straight up with the KO prop here at plus 475, just in case. You never know. I would be surprised if it came within the first 2 rounds, but I expect this TKO to transpire via exhaustion. I expect the pace to be too high for Gilbert Burns. I expect the pressure to be too high for him, and I think that we'll see Bilal really put his foot on the gas in the latter half of this matchup to make this finish come to fruition and solidify himself as the next #1 contender. Try to be irrefutable to the UFC brass so that they can eventually give him that shot, which he so much deserves, especially if he gets the win this weekend. There you guys go, 3 best prop bets for UFC 288. We got a great card going down there in New Jersey at the Prudential Center. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show as always. Again, MMA Fight Archive has dropped. Check it out, link in the description below. Cage Warriors 154 best predictions in the link in the description below for the Patreon. What more can I say? We got fights back at it next week with UFC Charlotte, with the heavyweights going at it. Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Jailton Almeida. Predictions for those will start dropping, or will probably have already started dropping on the Patreon. Again, check that out and link in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Monday for the next episode of the MMA Lockcast. I'm out of here. Peace.